In this video, I'll be covering the match between TSM and DarkZero during Season 10 of Pro League Playday number 10, or NA. DarkZero bans first since they're on defense, and they decided to ban Thermite. Thermite is very important for opening really all the major walls in Clubhouse, and it's typically a ban that you'll see teams do to either A, because Thermite's so necessary, or B, for a team who's very inexperienced on a map like Clubhouse. Jackal, TSM's ban. Jackal very helpful for clearing out roamers very quickly. And then TSM will ban Valkyrie. So we've seen TSM recently ban Nomad a lot on the attacking side. No Nomad ban. But instead, we've also seen TSM ban Valkyrie quite a bit. 2 out of the 3 playdays. And they will ban Valkyrie this time as well. So because of the bans, the Capitao is still on the board. Very strong on Clubhouse. Lots of ways that you can use him, as well as Maverick and Hibana. One glaring missing operator is the Thatcher. Zofia is pretty meta. Sledge is pretty meta. Both good options, but one of those could probably be subbed out for a Thatcher, just in case the Maverick goes down and he's not able to breach like he would normally be able to. From DarkZero, we see the Castle, Mute, Mozzie, Vigil combination, and having seen DarkZero play Bank server, I know that they'll do an off-site top floor roam with this combo, and the whole idea is to punish the attackers with a lack of intel, with making it very difficult to gather intel as to their positioning. And then they'll also normally play with the hatches open on Bank. So probably the same thing coming out here on Clubhouse. Against a team that is inexperienced, probably very strong. Against a more experienced team, probably not so strong. Or at least a team that hasn't looked into the strategies of DZ, just because it's off meta. And that's actually an interesting point. So this is going to be a technical pause, but something that I've been thinking about recently is I recently came from a very small, not very well known card game. What you come to realize is the people in ladder who are in the top 20 are the players that play the very strong meta decks, right? They just know all the intricacies of this one meta deck. But the players in the top 5 are the ones who figure out how to beat the meta decks. And so that's kind of the idea behind counter-stratting, is when you're able to figure out what a team's meta is, or even just how like all of North America Pro League takes Clubhouse, and then build strategies around that counter those meta strategies, then there's a lot more work required from other teams in order to figure out how to beat you. Unfortunately, R6 Maps doesn't have the updated Clubhouse, so we have to do this through the observer view. 3 reinforcements on Church, those are pretty default. The 2 in Tunnel that are, up in the north there, and then a castle barricade on the main stairs door. That's it for the on-site reinforcements. There will be a rotation hole in blue at some point, and maybe one that also connects into Church. Unclear to me at this time. Let's move forward to upstairs. Upstairs, a castle barricade once again on pool table, as well as lounge and into bar. And then of note, the Moto hatch drop is opened for free. They reinforce the hatch in kitchen. And we actually have to make our way to the 3rd floor, and in order to catch the last of the rotates, there's that blue rotate right here, so closer to the church wall than it is to, say, the blue stairs. 2 reinforcements on pool wall, or jacuzzi wall, and then 2 reinforcements on the CCTV wall. And that's our 10 reinforcements. So a heavy offsite reinforcement strategy. Mute jammers, it looks like, in order to enable the denial of those entries. Because of the mute, so the mute should actually be handled pretty easily with the Maverick. You just gotta poke a hole in the middle of a reinforcement and then remove the jammer and then breach. But the bigger thing is, will TSM get sapped with their utility, just trying to figure out what the site is? It doesn't look like it. Or really, you know, trying to open up pressure offsite in order to pinch those roamers. Maverick already has created a circle into the tunnel, so there's looks like a dual push through tunnel. Not a huge fan of what's happening there. So they have Capitao on rappel outside watching the hallway, but Capitao is probably one of the more influential operators in this lineup just because of those fire bolts. Very easy to dislodge anchors in position and even enable a plant with his smoke bolts. So it looks like Maverick and Sledge were pushing into tunnel. Hatch drop, so now it looks like we're gonna go for a plant here. They have complete, so TSM has complete control of Arsenal. Lose that fight in blue. The refrag happens though. Still have Merc or Capitao on that rappel. And now Merc is planting, Pojo's planting.
He actually might be able to deny this if he goes fast enough, but no, he's too slow. Mint allows the plant, and Merc playing from above.
Big fan of how, well, so two things. Capitao would have been really important, or really influential during that plant. Could have made that a lot smoother. If that rotate isn't scuffed, then Castle Pry is able to deny the plant, or at least challenge Hibana as she's planting. The other thing is that the lineup of TSM has three speeds. And so those 3 speeds are able to rotate into better positions very quickly. Maverick may be the smarter option though for that overwatch position on the rappel outside looking into the hallway. And then Capitao, who again would have been very helpful for the plant.
Could win this post plant despite the man disadvantage. He decides to drop, gets 1, has to find 2 more. Hyper and Nyx both on full.
The coverage is also not, or the plant spot's not the greatest to complement the coverage that they have. So Capitao has to drop down into sight because he doesn't have an angle onto diffuser, and just gets caught out of position. Goes towards blue while Vigil is retaking from above and drops into blue. There was tons of time in that round, a minute 15, in order to figure out more. The problem with any kind of site rush is that you need to be worried about any anchors retaking, and you need to think about the flanks there. Capitao, unless there was some kind of drone in kitchen, Capitao gave control up in kitchen, and that hatch could have also been used to deny the plant coverage. So just curious from TSM, very rushed in their execute there. We actually didn't get to see much of DZ's strategy in effect, but perhaps the retake is a part of the plan as well. Gym and bedroom from DZ here. Maestro countered by the Sophia, Sledge, and Maverick. Plenty of counters there. Legion, we'll see if Bolo manages to step on 3 Goon Mines once again. And then probably the most heads up play is the fact that this castle is countered by Sledge and Sophia, because some teams can struggle with removing barricades, but you also have Hibana, who is serviceable, and Maverick in removing those barricades as another option. Reinforcements from DarkZero, 2 on Jacuzzi Wall. There's a castle barricade into gym and Jacuzzi Wall area. I believe 2 reinforcements on the bathroom wall as well. So that northwest area, very isolated. Then a reinforcement. Oh, we should keep those reinforcements up. Reinforcement on gym and bedroom. That's to diminish the angle that a player might be able to get from the window. And also a barricade on the gym window itself, a castle barricade that is. Lots of soft destruction too, foot level. This is to help with peeking those attackers as they go to plant or push in. And then a full rotation towards the south side of gym. Soft destruction, or rotate rather, from logistics into construction, and then a reinforcement on the outside of construction wall. The rest of the reinforcements will be used off-site.
But then I started really dedicate myself to nearly as much anymore.
Some soft destruction towards the top of this CC wall. Both the reinforcements on CCTV and exterior walls will be reinforced, and then a rotation as well between red and CC and cash. Sorry, I believe they actually decide to reinforce these two walls between cash and CCTV. Hard to tell at this point. They do. I see Castle doing it right now.
Now construction is going to be the next one in play. Gotcha. He's going to move on back from that hatch, and now TSM are slowly moving ever so closer to master bedroom. Gotcha is watching out for any type of rotations coming in from this hole, but there's going to be nothing yet. They know he's in there, and the drone presence is there. He has the intel.
BC is threatened really significantly right now, even by his own rotation hole right here he made earlier. Merc is going to use that for the firebolt. Oh, and this could be rough for
really cool from TSM there. The bolt to kind of lock that player in that position, and then the peek in order to remove that player.
For the Legion.
Yeah, the buddy system is now working. They're waiting for that flame to go out, but with a little rotation, Bolo is trying to help out Gotcha, who gets instantly...
Playing from Hyper, Hyper doesn't continue with the flank. Instead, he goes and flanks elsewhere, and that's CCTV window. Now he continues with the flank. Just detected, so the player is going to peek him for that free frag in theory, but Hyper clearly already trained on that and able to get a 3K. What an awesome play from the Jaeger and Hyper. That's all Hyper. It's not, you know, just the operator. It's all Hyper. Any plant here would be in vain. You need to frag out at this point. It's a 1v3. So because TSM refuses to bring Thatcher, DZ will show the mute. Mute would be very difficult to... His jammers would be very difficult to remove without a Thatcher or an IQ, but really more like a Thatcher, because IQ can just spot the jammers, not necessarily remove those jammers. Doc is a very meta operator on Catwalk, since he can stim himself, play very island positions, and with that Capitao in play, almost a necessary pick and a position that he needs to play. So the Kaid versus the Maverick, probably, because there's the Maverick, the Kaid probably won't matter so much, just because Maverick counters any of that wall denial. Can grab 9 reinforcements right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 in the garage, lower garage, and then 1 on garage and CCTV. Soft destruction, we covered this with G2, leading in from garage and CCTV. And then 2 reinforcements on the cache and construction wall, as well as your default 2 reinforcements on the CCTV exterior wall. We'll look for the last reinforcement, but I would guess it would be the construction exterior wall. The Jaeger for the Maverick trade is significant because now the Cade, much more influential. With Cade you can remove, or with Maverick you can Maverick trick the CCTV wall, but without Maverick, the Kaid cannot be removed with the lineup that TSM has brought. Thatcher, once again, very important. There are options. One is going underneath and removing the Electric Claw vertically from Lounge, which is what TSM will most likely have to do. The other thing to mention is the Jaeger for the Maverick, always an advantageous trade. assuming that Jaeger has put down his ADSs, and that's because Maverick has utility that hasn't been used when he spawns in. First, Jaeger gets to use his utility all during the prep phase. That being said, losing the Doc early, not advantageous because he has those 3 stims, and, well, he died with them. Surprised that TSM is actually able to open up the CCTV wall. I would have liked to see an adjustment from DarkZero to orient themselves to contest anyone pushing into Lounge.
If they did manage to get it as well, because that would further their goal. But TSM are the ones who really need the points right now. Bolo trying to push up the main staircase, and he's going to have to deal with Nyx, who is holding the angle. Barbed wire destroyed, so this is definitely winnable for Bolo, and he goes up, but what a flick from Nyx.
Great example of how to pre-fire. Nyx knows that the wall is opened and that a player is pushing up the red stairs. So what does Nyx do? He takes the 1v1 on red stairs and then immediately pre-fires the breach because he expects the player to come that way. Of course, DZ also has a crossfire established with BC onto that exterior CCTV wall. Zoffia's used all of her utility in order to get the kite off, so pushing garage becomes extremely difficult for her. Actually, it's difficult even with the lifeline, because the lifeline doesn't really do a whole lot onto a player sitting in garage catwalk, since they've got that huge height advantage and also cover, whereas you as an attacker do not have that cover. Showing the Thatcher, switching onto the Maverick doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because you need both for TSM. My recommendation is get Bolo off of Sledge or get Zofia swapped up onto the Thatcher because that utility would have helped you a lot last round. On DZ side, and just also worth noting that like TSM gets very stale with their attacking operators. They attack sites in one way and only one way. Once you've seen their lineup once, you've seen it 6 times. On DZ side, they're bringing out the Bandit in order to trick the church wall, and the Pulse, who most likely will contest anyone trying to breach kitchen. May be used to detect anyone coming down main stairs. Legion as well. Thatcher would be a great counter to about all of these operators. Actually, Cade instead of the Bandit. So, also worth mentioning that DZ shows TSM a super off-site roam strategy, and then has the second option to go to, which is maybe a little more standard. 3 reinforcements on church wall and 2 reinforcements on blue. Probably all the hatches will be reinforced this time, but we'll wait to see that happen. Yeah, so kitchen and also bar hatches reinforced. That brings our count to 7. And also stock. So stock also reinforced. I think we have 2 reinforcements left, and I would guess they would be in tunnel. Gotcha's been really good on this Maverick, opening up tunnel very quickly for a player to solo push through it. Cool little drone work there too. And we see Bolo's following the drone to push down main stairs. Will actually relinquish the pressure that he just created by playing that position.
Now, the aggression from DZ has been paying off when they use it in small doses.
Great way to remove the default cam. That default cam stays up all too often, but you can use the vertical destruction, soft destruction of Siege and its engine in order to remove that camera. Really like to see that kind of stuff, especially since that default camera is in a predictable spot. The Pulse already gains nets a kill. That is on the Sledge. In my opinion, Sledge is probably the more replaceable operator in the lineup too. So over say a Thatcher. And so losing that Sledge, not only would there be a better operator to bring, but now you don't have the operator that you brought
DarkZero, they're challenging TSM in every bite of the way. With a little bit of impact.
A lot of people think that the way pulse should be used is in order to deny plant underneath, and while and argue that you should save your C4 until that moment or until there's a bigger prize. But I really think that if you have the freebie, you take it, because now DarkZero is sitting at a man advantage. The nades are removed, and there'll be no more vertical pressure most likely opened up in kitchen because they killed the vertical soft destroyer that is Sledge. What I'm trying to say is, if you're bringing Pulse or any C4 operator, take the kill. There's no, it's like smoke too. There's no need to hold onto your gas canisters until plant. You throw, you get the kill if you feel pressured. You throw the gas canister if you feel pressured. You throw the C4 and not a kill if you feel pressured. I mean, this Pulse now doesn't have to think about when to throw a C4 anymore. You know what he's doing instead though? Is he's right by the church wall reeling information that, hey, there's a guy on main stairs just holding us. So now DarkZero knows that, instead of him being too busy looking up. So Mint able to push up on the Capital because of the information that Pulse is giving. Nyx on the Legion just out of position. I'm not really sure what happened there. Anyway, now we're sitting at a 1v4 for TSM. TSM hasn't had a single round yet where they've even looked remotely in it. And I think once again, yeah, Pulse is in that corner of church reeling information about whether or not there's a player main stairs. So just a great job from DZ. Lots of familiar faces. TSM hasn't changed the lineup. DZ, bring Mute, Maestro, Legion, Jaeger, Castle. Probably going to be the same reinforcement strategy that we saw earlier. So 4 reinforcements offsite around CCTV, Jacuzzi wall, and that 1 reinforcement to deny the angle that you would have from the gym wall or gym window. So I imagine reinforcements looking like that on site. Better use of utility. Sledge opened up the castle barricades. Last time it was Zofia who did that. Zofia only has 3 breaching charges, whereas Sledge has 21 hammer hits. And now they've actually rotated Sledge into Garage. Bolo's droning in Merc. Merc is actually pinching with the drone, which I like a lot. You expect a player to follow the drone, but actually Merc isn't behind the drone, he's to the side of the drone. They know, I think they know at least. Oh, I never knew that the soft destruction actually went. The reinforcements don't go high enough on that wall, so they'll be able to capital the player in cash. But you don't need to when you've got Bolo who can just peek into the door.
The Firebolt in tandem with that push will be advantageous to the attack, and DZ suddenly are falling apart. Hot and Cold gets 1, but it's not enough, I think, to win this. There's a whole minute for these last attackers, but another for Hot and Cold.
Oh, no.
Missed shots from... Oh, no.
That was a huge mistake on TSM's part. Even though Mint whiffs, I'll never really criticize a player for whiffing. It happens. But Bolo, or TSM rather, didn't drone out logistics. They knew a player was logistics actually, but they clearly weren't, or Bolo wasn't aware that the player would push into construction and contest the entry into construction. That should have been a 2v2 there, maybe even a 2v1 in favor of DarkZero, where there's a player just on logistics hatch. I think DarkZero has a preference for Cade over Bandit because Cade can throw his charge from a distance. Also, Cade able to counter Hibana much more effectively, and when TSM isn't bringing Thatcher, even more so, unless TSM has a way to remove those Cade charges. Which at this point it seems that TSM's answer to Kaid is the Maverick, and only the Maverick when the Thatcher is still on the board. I get TSM's thinking and not needing the Thatcher, but I do not prefer Sledge over Buck in this scenario, because Sledge would have a hard time doing vertical play bottom up if Zofia were to die, and Zofia is the sole alternative to getting the Kaid charges off if Maverick goes down. Also, Sledge just has to go up to the CCTV wall in order to enable the Maverick trick. Really quick at getting CCTV wall open though with Maverick and Zofia.
Wall. This time they do, and that's what's going to allow Merc to get in here. That's going to allow this bolt to happen, and that's what's going to force BC to rotate into
great use of the bolt.
death. He'll eat a lot of damage there. Nyx also on Raptors will die. The firebolt should kill BC here. It will indeed. So that is garage control for TSM. This is what they wanted and what they couldn't get when they didn't have two hard destructors. Now with garage control, they can focus on the wall.
Typically, once you lose garage, you've lost CCTV. It just, like, so from garage you can cut off sight or both sites, and then also you enable that run-in through the CCTV exterior wall. Mozzie is in position though to contest the player pushing all the way through the catwalk, but it's a predictable spot at this point, so most likely not going to be enough to deny TSM's entry.
But a little bit of frag play coming in from Bolo, and he's not Kobe, so he's not going to hit his mark. But still, 23 seconds. Yes, you're up in numbers, but now time is dwindling down. It's all about execution, and execution is exactly what DarkZero does. 2 straight kills, make it.
How does it fall apart?
4 hyper mid. Everybody's going off. TSM, this looked like a round that they should have won. But DarkZero, way too strong. Yeah, they're up.
I wish we could see how they contest this. So, most likely, Mute throws a C4 underneath, or could have been from construction based on the positioning of the Mute there. Really difficult to tell. And then Jaeger able to get the kill from the red stairs here. TSM's main push is catwalk, so I think that the Sledge must have peeked Jaeger, and that's the kill there. That is just a player trying to move through barbed wire and not having a utility to remove a player who's in a more advantageous position above, being Jaeger. Another game, another day when TSM refuses to bring Echo. Not really sure why. Very strong, considering that most teams won't bring an IQ because they need to bring Thatcher instead. Which, oh, by the way, TSM didn't bring. On Church, we're bringing the Bandit from TSM, so some intention to trick the wall. And the Vigil for some kind of realm for Bolo. But, from DZ, a much more standard lineup. This is pretty much what you'd expect to see every team run on Clubhouse. I think I understand why TSM bring Sledge now, and it's to deal with the castle barricades on the windows of gym and bedroom. But it's one site, and like I said, you don't have an alternative to Zofia if she were to go down and Maverick were also to go down. And Kaid would have been more influential. Maybe I'm making too much of a fuss about it. Heavy offsite roam from TSM. Because we see Jacuzzi wall is actually bandited. Probably means that CCTV wall is bandited too. Or not bandited, but reinforced at least. And indeed, maybe a number out of DarkZero's playbook taken from TSM. So DarkZero deciding, instead of, when we saw TSM handle this strategy, they rush site. DarkZero instead is going to do a second floor to a bottom floor clear. And they actually decide to pinch from the jacuzzi wall and CCTV wall. So the hatches in both scenarios here are not reinforced except for kitchen hatch. Moto hatch is open, it's soft, and so is blue hatch. If you reinforce both those hatches and maybe remove the reinforcements on, say, tunnel, which is kind of a guaranteed, and also a choke point, I think maybe the strategy is a little stronger just because teams are going to take for granted that the hatch in bar as well as blue will be soft and use utility above in order to breach and eventually make their way towards site. But makes site more difficult to actually get into because now if I'm DarkZero, what's the attack strategy? Most likely the easiest way for us to get into site is either through blue and I can open up the hatch, which is soft, or I can push through bar because that hatch is soft and then use whatever utility I have left to try to get into the church area through Moto.
Most people on TSM have actually barely even gotten a few kills. Bolo's been really adding them up. And as Hyper gets achieved, it's looking even worse for TSM. There goes Bolo. So is it all over?
So actually DZ will push through blue and main stairs and game over. Or round over rather. I wonder if we can spot how DZ dropped all their players so quickly. Was it through... It is through the Moto drop. So yeah, I say reinforce that hatch so you at least get more of an indication, or you can potentially slow down that push. Bring the Cade and Cade the hatches. Bring the Bandit. Well, there's a lot of changes I would do. So I would bring the Bandit and use those on the external walls. I would bring a Cade and Cade the Moto hatch, take the 2 reinforcements on tunnel and give that for free. I mean, teams are going to open that regardless, and if they do, who cares? Tunnel is so difficult to push through. And lastly, so now I have 2 reinforcements, one on Moto and then one on blue hatch. Reinforce the 2 hatches that aren't reinforced. That's my recommendation. Take the 2 tunnel reinforcements out, give tunnel up, see if a team can solo push their way through. If they don't bring a shield, it's very difficult to do that. DZ bringing the same lineup, I don't have a problem with that because it's definitely like the most optimized lineup for attacking Clubhouse. It can be stale, who cares, since it's just the best. And then from TSM, we see the 6 from the Echo onto the Pulse. I like the 6, probably one of the strongest 6 in the games, just because Yokai drone above, but Pulse is actually below. And you know, you're looking for those yokais, you're worried about it denying plant lane in the game, but in actuality it's not there. Want to make a note of this. So you have the reinforcement on the garage and cache wall, but then also a deployable shield and a rotate between catwalk and CCTV. I think I said CC. Whatever I said, I meant to say the catwalk and CCTV is where the reinforcement is. And the rotate is as well. In any case, this rotate and this deployable shield allows a player to move between catwalk and CCTV and then into a position to contest players outside on the CCTV breach. So cool way to give players more options in order to contest, because normally if you peek from catwalk the breach, you end up dying. Let's see here. Reinforcements 4 in garage, 1 on the catwalk and CCTV, 2 on your typical CCTV external wall, 2 construction and cache, and one cache construction cache and red stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 reinforcements, all done. Rotate also between red and cache. And an ADS as well, so a player will most likely be in that position in order to support the denial of the breach once it's opened. and also a construction into cash push. Early pick onto the Maverick. Maverick, very important for being able to breach. You probably cannot open up the angle that Hibana just opened onto the cash wall, or construction wall. Not construction, garage wall. I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep misspeaking about the garage. In this position, you probably need to go for a construction take, just because you don't really have the manpower, a construction red take, just because you don't have the utility to remove or to do anything about the bandit tricking the CCTV wall. Capital is on the roam clear, huh?
Wonder what the plan is actually going to be, but he's going to be able to apply some crowd control at the moment.
He wants to find the Pulse, who is playing by New Blue,
oh,
otherwise known as Adam Spot, who is going to rotate back up, but Mid cuts off that rotation. Again, the coordination for DZ is
nice cut there. So Capital trying to push from below. If instead Pulse pushes the Capital there, might be able to make it with his life, but because Hibana is in, I think, bar, able to cut the rotate, Capital in that well area in order to push the player out on catwalk. Looks like DZ has complete control over catwalk as long as they take it.
Let's not put it on the team house. Honestly, the play from DZ has just been exceptional. Bolo, though, as well.
Because CCTV wall has not been opened, because Maverick died so early, what happens is Maverick able to peek from CCTV wall onto garage and able to deny that player from moving up catwalk, which should have been a free map control right for the taking. You just can't push through garage anymore because CCTV wall is safe. When defenders are able to sit in CCTV, they have so many angles that they can cover, really. Garage, red stairs, cash, and that's really all you need in order to hold out versus attackers. Like I said, I think the ideal would have been a pinch from red stairs and construction into cash. You still had the utility too to make the adjustment. You have the Capital, the Zofia, as well as the Hibana with her flashes and her breaching rounds to open up another wall. Mint bringing out Blitz. Blitz a very good roam clearing operator. On TSM's side, they've shown us one strategy with a heavy roam, and then I think they got a spawn peek and another. So I don't really know if Blitz is warranted here. From the lineup though on TSM's part, difficult to tell if it's the same. I think it is the same lineup, so probably the same strategy. So they know that there's a player in garage, but they're not sending Blitz there in order to push that player out. Instead, Blitz is actually droning, which Blitz should definitely be the drone of sorts. I think it's worth mentioning that a lot of teams recently have been using smoke canisters on attack in order to isolate angles like Blitz does here. So he throws that smoke canister in order to cover any angle that a defender would have from bar, and then he can push down the main stairs.
Almost certain. I mean, we'll have those numbers later, hopefully.
Basically, if they don't make it, then that is the biggest choke ever.
The smoke plant in the meta has really fallen out of fashion.
So far in this round, DC,
although Blitz is taking a beating right now with the gas canisters, and now he's dead.
So the Blitz gone. That's big for TSM. A lot of push power just eliminated.
Kind of cool to see too. Capital, before Blitz died, was at the bottom main stairs. Now he's at the top of main stairs. So he feels as though without the help of Blitz, there are too many angles for him to hold aggressively on main stairs. We have Maverick, who I don't think, who has barely used any utility, pushing down tunnel. More of a site rush of sorts from DarkZero, because they're not really doing their due diligence to open up the hatches here, than a top-bottom clear like we saw them do the first time around.
Beautiful headshot. So TSM, they have a chance. They have the number advantage and some great operators.
DarkZero, I feel, is just skipping some steps. Man, Capitao has rotated quite a bit. He's now in blue. So they're trying to pinch from tunnel and blue. I think Default Cam's still up too, and Bar, and Thatcher just needs to remove that. 30 seconds. I mean, really, what has DarkZero done up to this point? Not a whole lot. Capitao very strong for pushing players out of the position in blue that he just flamed off. But there's a player still in blue who's just in a different location towards like Oil Pit. Yeah, there it is. Lack of droning. They're like, I just don't even know what DarkZero was doing that round. So I think because they brought the Blitz, they thought that they could Blitz site and rush. But so much was given to them for free, they just needed to take it themselves. Like, for instance, Moto Hatch not being opened, a huge oversight, as well as Blue Hatch not being opened. Very difficult. Actually, Blue Hatch does get opened at some point. So maybe Moto Hatch was open too. I don't know. It just seemed like Maverick used one of his charges from his canister, and they probably could have used him quite a lot more. They could have used Maverick a lot more effectively in order to make that push a lot easier for them.
It was hyper. I think it was hyper.
But how to cut in a great position and fight off Maestro and Rafters. Yep. Bolo gets popped. So hey, the hottest hand on TSM is now
Doc dies in garage very early, and Pulse dead as well. Not sure where that was from. So DZ's pushing from CCTV, and then will probably make their way through into construction. Actually, they decided to rotate. It looks like all of their players over to Jacuzzi Wall. They're not going to have enough to open up Jacuzzi Wall anymore for Maverick. But maybe they're planning on using Habana on Jacuzzi Wall instead. It might just be that they're not even prioritizing Jacuzzi Wall at all. You don't really need to hard breach when you can just kill everyone. What a weird game. So Clubhouse normally is very hard breach centric, and in that game there wasn't really a lot to talk about when it came to hard breaching, because most of the time DZ just overpowered the TSM by fragging. On TSM side, I'm gonna harp on it again, but bring Thatcher. And if you want Buck, if you want a soft breacher, bring Buck, because it makes a lot more sense than Sledge on a map like Clubhouse. You can bring Zofia and Thatcher with breaching charges in order to remove any castle barricades, if that's the big worry there. Defensively, you put Bolo on an island position in Catwalk just a second ago, and he died. It has not worked. It has not worked. It's not Bolo's fault. It's just you're putting him in a really rough spot and expecting him to make it work somehow. Still, no C4 kills for TSM. We saw quite a lot from DarkZero. Those are freebies. I mean, that's you being on a different floor level typically than the player that you killed. It's very frustrating for players when they die from a C4, and it's a very low risk to take throwing a C4 above you and seeing whether or not you kill someone. So it needs to come out from TSM more, especially if what they're gonna do is 6 from Echo onto Pulse, and Pulse isn't netting any kills. That with a C4, that's a problem. There were definitely more than 2 rounds where on attack I thought that TSM should have won it because of the large man advantage, but somehow just weren't able to clinch the win there. Appreciate any feedback and take care.